Hi, it's Tina. I thought we'd do a cooking video and show you what I'm going to have for dinner. Now, as I've said before, I belong to a lot of vegan and plant-based groups on Facebook. And it seems to be that there's an underlying complaint that a lot of new people have. They get stuck trying to get in their daily allowance of beans, and they get into a rut of recipes where they're stuck with Mexican food as the options. And that's fine if that's your culture, but if it isn't, I can understand how that would get tiring and you'd get tired of those flavors. So I'm going to give you something different. If I ever write a cookbook, which I write all my recipes down, but if I ever get to publish a cookbook, it will be a Celtic, vegan, plant-based recipe book. So tonight I'm going to make Irish stew, and you will love the simplicity of the flavors, how easy this recipe is to make, and how different it tastes. And it's really, really good. So let me let those dogs in, scratching at the back door, and then we'll get started. Come on, babies. All right, let me get some garlic that I forgot out of the fridge. Webster, Webster. Stop. All right. So, when we think Irish, what do we think? Potatoes. So, potatoes are the staple. They give us our starch and they help us stay full. And then we're going to add a lot of vegetables that will be our nutrients and our fillers and get all those good veggies in that are non-starchy, because we need those as well. Now, some people peel their potatoes and their carrots. I don't. I always leave the peel on my vegetables if I can, because I like the added nutrition. Now, I spray my veggies with vinegar and I scrub them with a veggie brush. And I do that before, but I leave the peel on. So, let's see here. I'm gonna adjust you. Maybe my hand's a little wet. Sorry for your wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm sexy and I know it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Sorry. Thought I'd throw all that in there. All right, so we've got our potatoes. And I'm going to do nice big chunks because this is going in the Instant Pot. And we want it to be a nice hearty stew. See, pretty good sized chunks. Throw those in. Now we've made sure we've got our liner in there. I'm just going to cut these all up. Hopefully I won't take a finger with me. Now I'm using 4 small to medium potatoes because I have a family of 4 to feed. Now, if you are just 1 or 2 people, you're going to have leftovers, and leftovers are not a bad thing. You can have them tomorrow for lunch. You can, it'll last, you know, probably 3 days in the fridge, or you can always freeze it. There we go. Now this is 1 medium-sized onion. Sorry about the glare. That I've just already chopped up. And again, I've got those chunks pretty good size. You can do your smaller if you want. And then, lazy. Sorry, wet hands. I buy the already chopped up garlic. I'm going to throw some of that in. Oh, big heaping teaspoon. I mean, for the teaspoon. not actual measuring teaspoon. Then I'm going to have some carrots, and these are pretty big carrots. So if your carrots are smaller, you might want to have 3 carrots. And I'm just going to tip an end, cut off. Okay? Now remember our bag we keep in the freezer of our cuttings so that we can make veggie broth. Keep that. Anything you cut off of your veggies, from the onions to the carrots to the cabbage, broccoli stalks, bell peppers, whatever it is you're using, you keep that in the freezer at all times. Bring that bag out, put those cuttings in. When that bag is full, stick it in Instant Pot with water and you get 3 good quart-sized jars of broth for free with no salt. Now again, pretty good size. Don't let them roll away because they will try to get away. Now I have got cabbage, and this is about a half that I've used before, and we'll just see how much we need of this, and I won't know till I get started. A lot of people show you recipes. I'm going to teach you to cook, and cooks rarely measure. There's some things that you absolutely have to measure because you could mess around and get too much of if you're baking or whatever, but the majority of cooks do not measure. They dump. And I'm a dumper. Okay. You see I probably used about 1/4 of that head of cabbage. And I'm just going to cut it up a little bit so that they come out bite-sized. I want everything in there bite-sized. Okay. So about like that. And I recently replaced my cutting boards, and I don't know why it never really occurred to me before, but all of a sudden it became a big deal to me. I thought, I am still using a cutting board that I used to cut meat on. And even though I knew it was sanitary and I had cleaned it properly, for some reason it just really bothered me. And I had to get rid of it. So I got a set of new ones. So, well, how well you can see in there, how deep that is. So 1/4 of a head of cabbage was just about right. Now, if you've got fresh green beans, I suggest you use them, or frozen. Right now, I've only got canned. And for some reason, I really like the French cut, especially in this particular soup. And so that's what I generally use. Now, if you can buy those salt-free, all the better. I generally just cannot afford the salt-free. They're in my area, about $1.50 a can, whereas I can get ones with salt in them for about 50 cents. And I'm feeding a family of 4, so I get my bargains where I can, and I don't worry about the little bit of salt that's going to be in that vegetable. And I just broke my can opener. Wow! There you are. So, we've got to use the electric one. Sorry, guys. Because it didn't go around enough to be able to just poke it with my knife. I hate using electric if I don't have to. Get some of the water out of there. It doesn't make a mess. Of course, everything goes wrong when you're trying to cook on a video. every little bit of those green beans because I want to recycle that can, so I want it clean. So it doesn't hurt anything to add more water from the can to it because I'm going to add water anyway. Now, the only seasoning I'm going to do to this is like a generic version of a Mrs. Dash with garlic. And remember my video on Ollie's of getting stuff at a discount? This is $4.99 for a 1 pound container of this. And at my grocery store, it's about $3.99 for a tiny little thing of Mrs. Dash. So I was quite proud to find that. And goodness gracious, for you measurers, let's see. We want a lot of spices, right? So let's go 2 tablespoons of that, okay? That's pretty big. Because that's our only spice. Everything else is just the natural flavors. They're gonna cook together and they're gonna mesh really well. You're really gonna like this. It's simple, it's hearty, and it's good. Now I'm gonna add water. So this has got to really soak to cook that cabbage good. It doesn't have to cover the vegetables, but it's got to be a fair good amount of water. Can you see it sloshing around in there? There you go. Now we've got our lid. We've checked our seal. Nothing hindering anything. Put it to seal. Now, the trick to making your own recipes with an Instant Pot or adjusting recipes for an Instant Pot, let me let you see me again here, is set your time for your longest item. So in here, the carrots and probably the potatoes are the longest cook time. And potatoes take 20 minutes. So I'm going to set this to 20 minutes. And there goes Romo. And we're going to hit manual, and I've already got it to 20 because 20 is what I use most often when I'm fixing a dinner for the family and I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff in the Instant Pot, or when I'm making my beans or my brown rice. 20 minutes is about it. So this is going to cook. It's going to come up to pressure and it'll cook, and then it will automatically go to warm, and that's why I love my Instant Pot. As I'm going about my day, my dinner's here and my family comes in at different times, and we sit down all together when we can, but my husband generally comes home from work a lot later than what we like to eat. I don't want to eat later than 6 o'clock, and so I won't. So 6 o'clock, my feeding window is closed, and you've heard a lot of people talk about intermittent fasting, and basically what that is setting yourself up with a feeding window. So I have my breakfast every morning at 8:30, and I have my dinner every night by 6, earlier if I can, but never later. And then I don't eat anything else. If you need if you're having trouble with that and you need a tip, wash your dishes when you're done with your meal. Wash your dishes, turn off your light in your kitchen, and go brush your teeth, because your mouth is going to be fresh and clean, and you're not going to want to mess that up by going back to the kitchen and messing up your kitchen that you've already cleaned, and you're not going to want to have to brush your teeth again. So that's a really good tip if you're having trouble with the snacking at night. That will help you. All right. Have a good day, guys. Hope you like this. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Always come back to the video and give me a little comment and say, I really liked this, or I think it needed more of this or that, because everybody's taste is different, and so you may find that it needs a little more. For me, Celtic cooking, the traditional foods, they didn't have a lot of spices because, let's face it, back in the day all they had was salt. And we're trying to be salt-free, which is why I use the salt substitute in mine. Okay, have a good day. Like and share with your friends. Bye-bye.